Well, hey folks, this is Ben Gessel. I'm gonna keep this video short. Um, or at least not too lengthy. I'm gonna go for a little walk here. Um, Try to talk about something else before hitting the hay here tonight, and maybe we'll talk about music composition because although it's always hard to talk about it, rather than show you guys the music itself, I still, well, actually, the practical thing inside of it is people are sleeping in my house, and I can't just play sometimes at 1 in the morning if I want to. When I get my own house, maybe. It's also a question of what else, all kinds of things. So I do apologize if you guys can't hear what I'm actually talking about. We'll have to say that for another video. But let's talk about music composition here for a bit. So I've got a lot of projects I wanted to do a while back. I just haven't got to yet. I know what they all are. I just need to write them all down. And I found that, whenever a project is something that I am doing just for the fun of it that's unpaid, well, there's different levels of recreational composition up to getting paid for writing something or something with a deadline. And there's a spectrum, of course, of in that regard, I suppose, how much something is part of your livelihood at any one point in time. I just write. I don't write to get paid. I just write. Because if you don't write, I don't know. This is where composers really differ in how they are. If I don't write, then how can I expect my skill to improve? You have to keep writing, in my opinion. And if you don't write, even if you're not paid, well, you have to be very, very, very secure in what you're doing when you do get paid. The only person I know of, well, at least the only person I definitely know of who only writes when he's getting paid is John Rutter. And I don't know offhand if John Rutter was writing a lot when he was younger, he didn't get paid, but at least we can say at this point in his life, I'm okay with that, considering John Rutter's probably one of the top 10 living composers right now well, not of all time, but he's one of the top 10 living composers in my opinion. I love that man so much. John Rutter is an amazing guy. He really is. Sure, it'd be great if he was Christian. He's agnostic, but he's always that's what he writes. Is he writes religious music? So, I think when it comes to getting to this, some of these British guys like Ray Vaughan Williams is the same way. They often wonder and they think a lot about who God is and if they believe in God, and they have really good souls. Some of these guys, not just from Britain, but I'm talking about Britain here a little bit more. And heck, jeez, I think they're going to be okay. Yeah. But again, some of the guys that write the most sublimely beautiful religious music are not themselves religious necessarily, which is interesting. So, music composition. So I'm considering, at least there's a upcoming piano recital that I'm in charge of on December 14th, and I'm going to be writing some music for that. There's also music I'm working on for a composition recital. It's one for one of my students as well as myself and another gentleman that we're going to have in February. And there's all the other composition projects I am working on more in the horn, and other things as well. So, the question I have is, I'm also going through right now. I mentioned in an earlier video, I mentioned that I was kind of looking at all this music that I have on YouTube, and when I'm all finished with categorizing it on a scale of 1 to 10 of how much I like the different pieces that I have on YouTube playlists, I'm going to go beyond that, go to my CDs, all the music I know from CDs, music I've played in ensembles, orchestras, bands over time, all the way to things on the radio, music that I have not, I don't, there's music I don't have CDs of, or I haven't played, or isn't on my YouTube playlists still that I know of because I've heard of somewhere. I've heard it somewhere. Pandora, Spotify, some other thing. So this kind of project, again, it's a year. It's going to take years before it's done fully, and years. A huge project, and I can't categorize every piece of music that's ever been written, but I'm at least going to categorize music that I'm more familiar with. I'll get to a point where I'm going to say, okay, I think I'm in great shape. And it won't be everything, but if I ever do publish it, it's completely subjective. These are my favorite pieces of music. And, it's just, it will be what it'll be. I don't know if I'll sell it. I just know that this is going to be very valuable for me to do. Because I can look at this music and I can say, I do like this piece of music a lot. I like it this much. I liked it this much at this point. You might have some fluctuations, of course, regarding how much you like certain pieces of music at certain points in your life. But, it's a very loud motor somewhere. Or somebody, anyway. But no, I mean, for me, it doesn't vary too much how much I really do like certain pieces of music. By the way, when we're talking about music I performed, before I get to that, so I'm thinking with compositions for this upcoming recital. Again, it's kids and teenagers and parents that I've been working with, and there's a Christmas theme and there's also a German theme. I was thinking about doing something that's dedicated to my grandparents. I don't know. That might be. I don't know. That might be more for just my own family, something like that. But a few different directions I could go, but more than a few. So I'm trying to think about different kinds of music for different settings, and I'm considering writing something that's at least for the smaller December 14th recital, a few really short piano pieces that are connected somehow in some way. And, maybe something like involving paintings that have always intrigued me. I think I actually might go that route, at least with that recital. And, there's also something else. I'm working with one of my uncles, on a church hymn or two, and more in the future. This is an ongoing thing. And I worked with my dad writing a church hymn a while back, and I myself wrote a few church hymns and submitted those things to Salt Lake City. And I'm still not sure if they've been accepted into the hymnal, but because again, my church, we were organizing a new hymnal this last year, and so that's going on. It's just sometimes you gotta keep all your ducks in a row, or whatever they call it, whatever the phrase is. So, not quite halfway through what my phone says I should make in terms of the length of this video, but I'm getting there. One of the things, okay, so there was something else I was touching on. Oh yeah, it was music I performed, music that I performed in the past, in band, orchestra, also private lessons. And if you guys could throw out some guesses as to how much music I've actually performed, how much music would you say I've actually performed? If you guys were here, you can throw out some guesses. Would you say 1,000 different pieces? Say 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000? There's no real way of knowing. And I'm not trying to brag here. I'm just saying this is actually my career. Music is actually my career. So it goes without saying, if music is somebody's career, you would hope that they've listened to, performed, etc., quite a bit of music in their lives. You would hope that's the case. As opposed to someone like the Music Man character played by Robert Preston, was it? Anyway, of course Matthew Broderick did it as well. You know, the lovable charlatan. Yes. Madam Librarian, etc., etc. So, but no, I mean, I really have performed quite a bit of music. I've played Sousa marches. I've played James Swearingen, junior high, feel-good band music. I've played Mozart on the French horn and the piano, a fair amount of that stuff. Beethoven, same deal. Brahms, especially piano, yes. Played Brahms. I played Chopin, played a little Liszt, and his stuff is mostly pretty darn hard. I've even played Rachmaninoff. I played Chopin. I played Sibelius on the horn multiple times. I'm gonna go further around here. I've played Elgar on the horn and piano. Vaughan Williams horn. Holst on the horn and piano. Delius, I've listened to his stuff, and Debussy on the piano and horn, Ravel and Mendelssohn, and Robert Schumann, and Richard Strauss, and Franz Strauss, and Rossini, and Vivaldi, and listen to Monteverdi, and Manuel de Falla, and Alberto Ginastera, and Hector Villalobos, and Louis Marie Gottschalk, and I don't know, Borodin, Balakarev, Rimsky-Korsakov, Mussorgsky, Prokofiev, Henrik Gorky, Alice Salonen, Edward Tubin, Edvard Grieg, Christian Sinding, von Humboldt, Franz Berwald, Carl Nielsen. I just don't. Where do you end? The composers just keep going on and on and on. I played Robert W. Smith in band. I played Alfred Reed. I mentioned Sousa. Half the pieces I played in elementary school, junior high, and high school, I can remember. In David Land's New Age music and Narada label, and I've played Yanni and Enya and David Templeton. He's another composer in Buren, I know. And I've played John Schmidt and Michael McLean and Kenneth Cope and Janice Cat Perry, and I've played Kurt Bester. I've heard his music, and Sam Carden and Bryce Newbert and all of Lex de Azevedo. I've played Lawrence Lowe on Professor BYU stuff. I played there's only a certain amount of time in this video for so many composers. And so on the one hand, it makes it hard to sum up how many pieces of music I've heard, but I think it would be nice for me to be able to say, oh yeah. So if I'm looking at different influences on my own music, I can go to the 8, 9, and 10 levels and say, oh, this is the stuff I like absolutely the most. So maybe I should listen to this stuff a bit more right now. Because always a question of, what am I in the mood to listen to? If you have time to listen to stuff. And once you say, oh, I should listen to this, or I'm in the mood for this, sometimes you can say, if I want to write, I need some more inspiration for music. So you want to know where you want to go to. And then the great thing about YouTube is you can listen to other stuff that's either been uploaded there that's like that stuff, or if you wanted to go to Spotify or Pandora, they have additional music on that site as well. Isn't the internet great? Okay, so, it is, but Anyway, so but this is what I wanted. Why I wanted. Anyway, I think you guys get the idea about this. But I also say this because every piece of music that you perform or listen to or become familiar with not only would influence you as a composer, but for all you guys that don't write music, it influences how you see music. I haven't even mentioned soft rock or country or all the other stuff, all the pop stuff, whatever, that kind of stuff, or world music, or folk tunes. Just where does it end? And like other hymns from other churches and other holiday music and musicals and TV themes. That's right, films. I haven't even mentioned the film composers, John Williams and Michael Kamen and Jerry Goldsmith and Leonard Rosenman and Lalo Schifrin and yeah, I mean, all the more recent guys, Howard Shore, and anyway, a bunch of guys, Christopher Young, Richard Bellis, Bruce Broughton, all these guys, the more people that you listen to, and the more that you are, in my opinion, a very educated musician. You've heard more music, and if you understand these pieces on a deeper level, you're just a more complete musician. You're a better musician. You're a more knowledgeable musician. If you're a composer, you can write better. If you're just a music student or performer, you just know more. Getting back to my own trains of thought, though, with composition, it's just that it isn't always important to me that people know how much music I've actually performed or listened to. That's not quite as important as having the kind of impact I want to have on the listener with music I write. It's funny because personally, I sometimes wonder if God gave me this ability to write music because He knew I would use it more for righteous purposes. I wouldn't be, a bad guy with it. I don't want to write immoral music, and that I could influence people for the better. That's maybe one of the biggest reasons why He gave me this ability, was so I could influence people for the better in their lives, help people be happier, help them in, I don't know, any kind of way you can think of, regarding how music tends to help people, at least. I don't know. Regarding what we can actually do with music, which, again, is still very limitless. And that's another question, just to wrap this up here. What can music not express? Is there any emotion? Is there any emotion that music cannot express? I'm hard pressed to say that there are limits to music. I don't think there are. I really do believe that you can express any emotion you wanted to in music. It's just a question of what instruments you use and which combinations, rhythms, harmonies, melodies, voicings, dynamics, tempo. There's all kinds of things like that. You can get all kinds of effects and moods. And there's so much I do know, but there's a lot that I can still learn about this stuff. But I've come far enough I can teach. Certainly I can teach. I could teach even a while back. I can definitely teach students this stuff. And this is the kind of stuff, knowing how to write music, melodies, knowing that this is so important. The things I'm trying to teach. It's so important. Anyway. Yeah, I think I know what I'm going to do. I think it has to, any piece of music that you listen to